be because it will, which is totally off the cuff.
That's fine.
Okay. So imagine this. When I was in college, maybe about 19 years old.
Just a wee lad of 19. What year was
full
that?
of bullshit. A guy who's full of bullshit,
Yep,
right?
thinks he knows everything.
Yeah, yeah. And confused. And a lot of this Baguio, I'm a Baguio boy, right? And so suddenly I'm in this Manila thing. Marcos, protest, boycott, hippies, rock and roll, drugs. I'm there, right? I'm right there in the middle. I try to visualize this kid without being judgmental, especially. And at some point, I thought of dropping out of college. I was so confused, and of course, I was anti-parent,
Establishment. Man.
anti-authority. Old people are all wrong.
Yep.
Don't trust
Sound
anyone
familiar?
over 33.
Yep.
Which is what who someone said, like James, I don't know, Bob Dylan or something.
Sound familiar?
And of course also full of beans. Diba?
Full of piss
Where
and
I
wind.
was thinking of joining the rebels in the mountains.
Yeah.
Because I
Fight the
didn't-
power.
Well, it looked pretty hopeless to me already at that point. But I'm not like the one of those people going around Marxist Leninist,
Communist Manifesto.
Yeah, no, I was on the Christian Democrat side, so-called
Wait,
moderate.
wait. Hold on.
But even having said that, I was exposed. We worked in the slums and stuff, teaching and trying to enlighten the people who was stupid. Talking about Marx and Lenin to somebody who didn't even finish the 5th grade. Crazy, but we actually lived there. We actually lived with these people. I saw the poverty, okay? And I saw it was pretty hopeless. But I'm only 19 or 20. Okay, so I'm bullshit. That's full of bullshit.
World is possible. Here, have a seat.
And besides that, I'm only, at that age, your world is so small that you define things in very simple terms without any much,
You haven't done
complexity.
anything. You haven't been
You have no
anywhere.
experience or filter.
All you've done is take up resources.
Well, basically, you're trying to figure it out intellectually as best you can without guidance or anything. You're just figuring it out. And the meaning of life, and I think I'm not going to live too long anyway under these conditions, And it's go wild and go drunkenness and, that sort of thing.
Nihilism.
And
Nihilism.
the drugs, the downers, the
uppers,
the codeine.
Oh yeah, that's that. Hey, you got the good stuff. Cough syrup.
Well, it wasn't regulated at first. You see, you could just go to a drugstore and this Philippines.
What a world.
Buy like 4 bottles at a time. The guys would be coming out of their pockets, bulging full of bottles. It was unregulated. Everything. I used to buy speed when I had exams. Then I stay up for 2 days.
Yep, kids still do that.
It's crazy. Anyway, so the point is, now you're going to go. Obviously, he was worried about me. Couldn't talk to me. And we couldn't communicate anymore. That's gone. We missed it. That's a failing, but unfortunate. That's how life was in those days. We have 7 children. we miss the opportunity to be able to communicate on an adult level. For somewhat, I was just a child anyway. I don't think I would have understood. And besides, I was like, oh, I know the answer, you guys don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
This arrogance
Sounds familiar.
that comes from insecurity. And a lot of ego issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, point is, okay, one day, here I am. And they must have been worried because he came to Marikina. I was living with Tito Vic and Tita Yoli.
Mm-hmm.
He just showed up one day and he sat me down after supper in the sala, just the two of us. And you know, I don't know, he didn't say much. He wasn't a very verbose guy. That's why when he said something, you listen to him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if he said to you something like abaw, abaw, hindi yata tama yan. Something like that. You pay attention, boy. Because he does man of a few words, but he said, you know, he sat me down and I'm like, I don't know what, you know, angry or full of shame, does it mix up? I can still remember, but I was totally
Taken
couldn't
aback?
say anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's totally closed. And he said, you know, he said to me, no matter what you decide, you will always be the same son to us. Those words. And that's the legacy. That's the point. You see. Regardless, no, it's almost like you can put almost everything else aside, you know, except that thought that he will not give up on you. You see, and it will not change, you know. Okay, you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I realized, maybe looking back, I tried to be that same way, but without verbalizing it or even maybe intellectualizing it. But when it was my turn, I tried to stay steady. Diba? It'll be kwan. Anyway, I'm not saying, you know, I even did it voluntarily or what, but it seemed to me that my life would be empty otherwise. You know, like choices you make, like at that time, you know, in Manila, it was like Marcos. It's like, you know, somebody, you get ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple, you know. You can have qualifications, great, but it's really only window dressing because it's the connections.
It's who you know.
That will operate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So
A lot of the world's like
pretty
that.
sad, you know, and I couldn't see much future in that kind of environment other than become one of those people, you see.
Mm-hmm.
When you become one of those people, then your priorities changes now. Your values change and you start justifying now, okay, I have to sacrifice. I know it's important, but I have to sacrifice because I stuck my neck out there too far and it will get chopped off otherwise, where they eventually go. So, among other things, but clearly you understand the environment, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
So when it came to my turn, whatever the universe threw at us, it occurred to me now, that's what I want you to commit to. to your son, because this is your legacy and he needs to carry that with him, and that will be your lolo's legacy. You know what I mean? Everything else is trivial, because the rest will just be a product of that. No matter what. Diba?
No matter what you do, you will always be
The same son
the same son
to us.
to
That
us.
he said. Those are his words. Will always be the same son to us. You have to get old to appreciate these things. It's not that I changed my behavior after that, because I didn't even realize the impact of that, saying something like that.
Yeah, because not every parent believes that.
Besides
Sometimes,
that,
you know,
again,
you got a son that's acting a fool, out of
well,
control.
that's
They'll
true.
disown your ass.
Well, that's true. And besides, saying is one thing and doing is another. But looking back, I cannot, think of a single instance. None, except maybe some ridiculous thing like Lamka ice cream or something. I might turn that down. But at least maybe there was, like I wanted a motorcycle. He turned me down. I don't know. I've never seen any small accidents with motorcycle.
Yeah, yeah.
The smallest is broken bones. You see? And they bring those accident victims to him. So, every summer, Manila kids will come up, and because you can rent motorcycles there even if you're 12 years old.
No license.
You just need to have the money to pay for the rental. And if you crash it, then you pay for the repair. So the rich kids from Manila, they come up, they rent the motorcycles in Burnham Park, and then they'll crash. And they'll bring them to my dad in emergency room. So every summer he has this sudden influx of broken bones, concussions, cracked skulls, and things like that. I'm not gonna buy you a motorcycle. Are you crazy? Yeah, but he didn't say that. Yeah, he said, no, I don't think that's right. I've never seen anything smaller than broken bones. He said. No scrapes or scratches, just you see flesh and the bones sticking out.
A wise man once
But you
said,
understand it.
A wise man once said, I don't like bikes.
But
And I thought there was wisdom in that.
But throughout, And I decided, for some reason, life allowed me to decide to continue my college instead of dropping out and, going nuts. Basically, self-destructive, diba? And you're also looking for, searching for something that you're missing outside of you, which is actually an internal problem. But kids don't know this. That's why you cannot actually say, you should know better. Like, come on, he's just a kid. That's why he doesn't know better. He has to learn.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Got to learn the hard
But,
way. I know that for some reason
imagine
that's
that,
how I
huh?
learned the most.
if you're ever in that position where you can say that to him, and he, understanding it in his heart. I mean, but appreciating it, putting value to that thought. And basically, you've done your job. The fact that you can say that to him means that you're already able to communicate at a certain level.
And that's,
with
I mean,
beyond
you know,
ego.
that's how our resume reads. I mean, you've always been there for me.
Yeah.
That's how I experienced,
Just that
you
the
know,
way it
your
turned
your
out. I
parentage.
just wanted you to be aware that your Lolo said this because to me he said it didn't even register. But somehow it showed up.
Planted a seed.
Showed
Yeah.
up. Certain choices you make, sometimes you don't know where did that come from. If you think about it, but sometimes you just think, oh, I was so smart, I figured it out myself. But actually, a lot of this stuff is learned behavior or something it's a certain value you assimilated it. And when you make a choice, you filter through that filter. Diba?
You look like a Denver Broncos fan. These are Denver Broncos colors. Everything, even down to the socks.
Well, he is a captain ball. What does it say? Dream team.
He is.
Great.
He's the first round draft pick in the dream team. First pick overall. Okay, nice. I think we did it for posterity.
Something like that. You can't keep beating that story. You know? That's why once in a while you can tell it. Oh, yeah. But you can't like really draw it out either. Loses the impact. Because the next day he went back to Baguio. But you didn't. I didn't appreciate it at the time. I mean, I was touched. I believe I was touched, because it felt like, so I got, awakened. I just thought that I don't
Maybe
know what it was. No, maybe I
Some
just
level you thought he didn't care.
I didn't think about them. Yeah. And that was it, because my longing has always been for him. And I know that. You see. So now I realize that a lot of what my actions were to get his attention. I wanted his input. I wanted to hear. Sometimes when I was little, I just asked him, out of the blue questions because I wanted to hear. You be aware of that. Yeah.
I
In other
am,
words,
and
your
I will be.
attention, you pay attention. Because he, it's just the way it is. Say, I'm in the 5th grade, he already had 7 children by then. And that was probably at the time in his life when he had all 7.
Use the first link. Go scroll up a little bit. So you were in the 5th grade.
There
He
was
had
a-
7 kids.
Yeah, there's a time in his life when he had all 7 children at home. Because
Oh
Tito
my
Vic
God.
would be like maybe in the 7th grade or 6th grade, and the youngest would be on the hip and one on the skirt. That picture? And then a couple of boys rowdy and throwing
Yeah.
pillows. What a
Just
life.
chaos. Yeah.
Just great, just great.
Yeah,
For
it's
kids.
life.
Oh
Life.
my God.
Everything was
We're playing
alive.
basketball over the door, with a sock. You put the door like that, then there's a space in the
Yeah, the
back.
corner between the
Yeah. Then with a sock, we'd be there, like pretending to dribble around the
yeah.
living room and
Try.
taking jump shots. It's great.
You doing like juke moves on people, trying to.
Great life, but you can imagine that my dad, what his, mental state must have been like. And he worked 7 days a week. It's the thing. 6.5 days a week, even Sundays. But Sunday he would take, usually, if he had energy, he would take us all in his car, he'd load us all, in his car, and he'd drive us around. They call it round. Just take us around. Yeah. Give my mom a break. I bet. I bet that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and we'd go to church sometimes. We'd all be dressed up.
Got your
Yeah,
little
no,
neckties.
On special days like Easter and Christmas, yeah. And the
Get your little
girls with
suit
their
jacket.
bonnets or beanie caps, you
Yeah.
know, and bobby socks. It was just great. It's great. But I imagine his state of mind is he had to be totally focused. And
I get like that
yeah.
when I'm working.
You know, you're like,
Pretty
you're like in the zone.
one-sided, yeah.
basically. You're like in the
Well,
zone.
this is what I've learned. You make hay when the sun is up. That's the saying, and I'm glad I treated my job that way because there are times like this when I'm laid off, and that it was important that I made as much money as I could while I was working, instead of taking time off
Well,
and trying
You
to
can
come back
visualize
early
or
or on
you
time.
can try to put yourself in his head.
Oh, I can do
His
that.
career is going up. His patient load is rising. His income is better, but he has 7 children. One is about to go to high school. Oh, this frame of mind, right? He
Let me
was
tell-
successful.
Let me tell
He
you,
did it. He made
there's
it happen.
yes, there's a peace and serenity that comes from having a steady job, and you know you're providing for your family. That's like a
And
lot
this is
of
a good-
turmoil goes away. It's like very peaceful.
Yeah, it's like
and
I'm
quiet
trying to
in your
say,
mind.
You know, at that point in his life, his career is on the upswing. He's getting recognized in his profession. He's winning chess tournaments and bowling tournaments. Just
Oh, you used to
eating.
bowl too?
Oh yeah, Baguio champion. Duck pins, not 10 pins. Huh?
Duck,
small
yeah,
ones.
yeah.
Wow, they really wow. You know, they really.
Really pitched them down there.
And so there I am, diba?
It's
Missing the interaction.
yeah, it's big shoes to fill.
Tito Vic and Tito
Big shoes to
Ben,
fill.
Even Tita Lynn, he was. There were only 3, and he was still more available to them.
It would be pretty intimidating. Like even now, he's my grandpa. I didn't really know him, but all his stories about him, his
Oh, yeah.
deeds, and
It's like superhuman.
exactly like how do you it's just like how can I? And
like,
I'm just me.
it's
You know,
like a
how do I live up
mythology.
to that? Yeah, exactly. Like
There's a mythology around him.
and you live that life where your parents survived the war, and then there was this period of idyllic prosperity, in the 50s.
Yes.
The
It was.
Yeah,
I think
the
it was
nuclear
when I
family,
was born. It was ideal.
great music, the
But
cars,
yeah, we had the nuclear war, the Russian
the Cold War,
boogeyman.
the Cold War, yeah.
Cold War.
But that for a time,
Not so
you
much
lived
in
you
the-
lived in that time, the 50s,
Okay,
right after the
kids.
war.
Like us.
Playing
yeah,
stickball.
Little kids. It was heaven. It was heaven.
No cell phone. You just go out and play. Come back
No
when it gets dark.
plastic. Yeah, well, Yeah, exactly.
And it was all right,
Run,
It was
the
all
whole-
right.
The
Yeah.
whole place was a playground. Anyway, it was great. But I had that longing, which I never was able to articulate or even, figure out until now. Until recently. And now I realized that, that's the dynamic that my life operated under. But his legacy, regardless, I missed out maybe on that, like tossing the ball around and stuff. We didn't have that.
Play, yeah, just having a catch. We've talked about it
Or
because
him
it's
teaching me something. We didn't have that. I mean, I can't say that. He did teach me a bunch of stuff, but I had to learn to play chess and bridge by reading books. We never sat around and they'd say, "Oh, okay," and tell me stories about, you know. But those were his books. And you can see him. I went that, you know, that time. I wanted to be in his,
Yeah, in his zone, in his realm.
yeah. Tita Sim.
And just in a more, you know, in a more distilled way, it's just like, hey, I want to do that. That's kind of a thing that I already see in
appealed.
Baxter. You know, he's looking at me. He's like, oh, that's what you're doing? I want to do that.
Well, you know, it appealed to me, the intellectual, somehow, that my brain is wired to enjoy that sort of thing, the puzzle making, puzzle solving.
I know. I kind of want to get into. I want to get into chess
Oh, you?
just because of Queen's Gambit. I was like, my buddies and I, you know, in SoCal, we got into chess for a little bit. But Richie, remember Richie? He really got into chess. I learned a lot from him because he read all the books, different openings, revealed, you know, like revealed check,
Yeah.
you know, forks with like the knight and bishop.
Tricks, basically, those are traps and tricks. There's also a book about that. And openings.
Yeah, different
obviously.
openings.
You know how she that it's exactly the way she did it. You know how she progressed in her reading and then until the end game. But obviously she liked the middle game best because that's when you can really
Set up.
yeah, beginning and end game they're pretty dry because all you have to do is be very careful in the end game if you already know. And usually your opponent also knows he's already
Well-
done for, unless you make a mistake.
Yeah, which is
I just
called
waiting
a,
for that
called a blunder.
blunder.
Yeah, they
Or a
that.
weak
And people
move. For them, a weak move that's bad. That's already
a mistake. Yeah.
yeah.
And
The
that's
other
the
guy will
that's
figure
the thing about one of the most fascinating things about chess. Even at the at the highest level, people can still most masterful chess players. They'll still make a mistake.
Oh,
You know, they're like, and then they look back like, what? Why didn't I see that? Why didn't I do that? Oh my
And
god!
then they go back and study it.
Yeah,
That thing and you know obviously they have a lot of ego, but they're
To
not too
even-
proud to admit that that guy was
well,
really
you
good.
can't. You can't.
diba?
That's the other thing too about chess. Like when you're playing, it doesn't really matter how many trophies you got, how many tournaments, what your name is. It's just 1v1 person, mind versus mind. You know, it doesn't matter what happened to you. You know, in your how you grew up, who your parents are.
Yeah,
It's like the better person on that day will win.
but in their level, because they're so, superior intellectually, they remember all these moves, diba? And they know exactly where they made a mistake the last
Oh,
time.
God, that
and
must
they
kill
know
'em.
already.
That
But
must
they studied
ki-
it
yeah.
now.
That
They
mu-
said, oh yeah, that guy in the device said, you should have moved the other pawn. And they're like, no. And then she looked at it and, oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's this thing that
And
would
then-
happen if I moved that.
And there's also, I mean, because chess has really a limited amount of combinations and positions for any piece, for every piece. I mean, it's very vast, but that's why. But the best chess players, they remember all that. Like, oh, this is the one
They
thing that
remember that.
Spassky used in 1970. He
Yeah,
got
my
to this
God.
point, or this is the opening that this you know what I mean? Or
Have you listened to any of Agad Mater's,
yeah,
aside from that one? You see how knowledgeable
I
he
started.
is,
I
right?
subscribed.
I only understand about 10%
He's like, from here,
of
it's
what
like
is- I just go
knight
with
to
it,
rook
you
4
know.
or bishop
Yeah.
takes pawn.
But
And
you know how
blah, blah, blah.
he'll quote like, "Oh, this was played in 1932."
that's exactly.
He's got so much knowledge, and he's only an international master. Okay, he's actually a competitive player.
Oh, that's the way to elevate your
sounds
game.
Russian.
You have to compete. You can't just be
For
studying
sure.
it. You got to get out there in the trenches and
And they,
You know.
I think they just are constantly studying, especially this guy. I mean, even this guy, and he's only an example of what run-of-the-mill chess player is like, you
But
know,
that was
that's why Tito Vic gave it up. He said, I don't have the time to devote to the studying it requires.
it's a
So
certain
I
really,
just just went to Texas Hold'em.
past a certain point you definitely need a certain mind and personality.
You need,
And,
you need to be obsessed.
Uh,
And
But
even
like
if it's about ego, it's not really about ego because you also are just an instrument of that. Parang, it's like a compulsion that you cannot, you cannot continue to live unless you engage in that. Diba?
well, since they remember everything, that they remember their wins and their mistakes.
losses.
That must kill them.
No.
You know,
Bobby-
everyone I'm sure has that in their life where they're like, "Oh my God, why did I do that? That was so
You know,
dumb."
Bobby Fischer said,
You just keep
a
thinking
quote-
about it.
Quote of Bobby Fischer is, studying your losses is more important than studying your win.
This is true. Yeah,
So that's
true.
not how
That's where
their
you-
mind works.
that's where the most
Their
learning
mind
happens.
is like, okay, maybe they'll beat themselves up for one day, but then they're already thinking of the next one. You see.
But it is in a way it's a gift because especially if you didn't know you had a weakness there, you know, not just in chess, but oi oi oi. Now what did you do?
Did you break anything?
Now what did you do? That's my fault. And put it like here. I'll take it. I'll put it in the.
Did it break a bot?
Yeah, there's glass in here.
Oh. I better check it. Something
it's
may
on-
have cracked.
It sounds fine.
Yeah, I kind of put it in another bag. But why don't you put it in the cupboard next to those?
You see that? There's something breakable in there.
And more.
Yep.
The
I'm doing it.
Steelers Cowboys game.
Uh-huh.
Cowboys are up.
Oh, you want to watch it? Or you want to keep not watching it?
Well, I want to see Ben DiNucci. It's 0-3 end of the first quarter.
All right. Yeah, I thought they illustrated that really well in Queen's Gambit, where that's when I understood it, where she was in the tournament, and it's like,
Imagine, huh?
oh, but you're not ranked, and oh, you're playing against this guy. You don't know who that guy is. He won this, and it's like none of that matters. Once you're in there, it's
Well, now, my
it's
dad-
1 versus 1, and you're not bringing your trophies
My
in there
dad,
and your
I'd
books.
say, until he got cancer, he was still playing. But what I think is also is that the usual, probably, in fact, I'm pretty sure their brain is wired in a certain way.
Yeah.
And my dad, playing chess and bridge, he had that ability to solve
And
solve intellectual
it's and in competition it's a rush to beat someone, especially if you know they're really trying, and you still beat them. It's just like there's an exhilaration in that, but the real opponent is yourself, because you didn't make a mistake. You didn't make a mistake, and the best of yourself was put forward. And,
Obviously, you need to be prepared to win and lose. Otherwise, you get discouraged.
but that's another theme in Queen's Gambit, where her worst enemy was herself. She couldn't get out of her own way, to beat Borgov.
Until the end.
She always got there, and she always screwed herself up. For whatever reason, she had some psychological issues. Maybe she didn't think she was good enough, or didn't think she could do it anyway. And
Well, remember, she had the problem of
she was
same
a
time
big-
of having
big
an
drinker.
addictive personality and coming out from a traumatic childhood. Diba? If she didn't have those good people in the orphanage who actually treated her well, and especially the black girl who became her friend, she may not have survived that whole episode, considering she wouldn't have discovered chess if it wasn't for the kind janitor.
Yeah.
So let's see. You know, she had good breaks also, even after the tragedy. Then she started getting good breaks.
But that was that I thought was like a central theme was her worst, her like greatest opponent in chess was herself, and then it wasn't until she was able to overcome that part of herself that
Kind
she
of
could progress
an
and
ego thing also. Yeah.
it's interesting to watch that show like
But
through
the
the lens of
dynamic
chess.
I also found captivating was the way they treated the addiction part of her personality. They're very relevant also. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like what we were talking about, you can with that type of a propensity to become addicted, you can be addicted to anything. It can be games, it can be people, it can be alcohol, you know, any kind of substance.
In
It
her
can be
case,
books,
What
you
was
know,
it?
anything.
There's some
There's alcohol.
that blue pill.
Yeah, it was like she was into like some tranquilizers
Lipitor
or
or
something.
something. I
Yeah.
forget what it was. It was a tranquil. I remember your Lola used to take that. Some kind of tranquilizer with psychotic,
Déjalo ahí, papi.
psychotic, but
Or with psychological.
antidepressant and stuff.
Yeah, she liked
And
it.
the combination, once she got into that zone of the drug, then she would just go into the zone of the chess also, diba?
Yeah,
And
and
you
it
know
was,
this thing looking up in the ceiling. Agadmator explained that all. That's
yeah, I'm
another
sure
chess
people
player.
do that. Like,
There's one chess player who did that, and he told the anecdote. So interesting. He looked up, and then he made the winning move. So she were.
that's kind of like you know, a lot of people do that when they're thinking. They're like, usually
Yeah.
like what it up to the right,
Yeah,
up to the
yeah,
left, or
ice,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Niño, con cuidado.
She got busted. Huh?
No, he was about to fall over.
But yeah, it's good. Anyway, I should try.
It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I should get going on this TV stand thing. See if we can.
Yeah.
That's the big project. Anyway,
Yeah,
good talk.
it's not about. It's about your Lolo anyway, not about. I got Mater.
No, but that's like I said, it's good to
Well, the
go
whole
over this
idea
information and
of the
make it a.
anecdote is the person, even if he didn't know your Lolo, he would kind of get an idea of what kind of
Niño.
person he was and where his heart was. Diba? Not respond to your child acting out by responding with, thoughtlessly. Diba? Or how's anyway? There's a better way to put it, but you know what I mean. I respond with your heart every time, not with your fear. Diba? Sometimes when it's already beating it.
Yeah. No, I think we did it. I think we got it. On to the next thing.